Peace and blessing, family. I want to say this here to the young people, man, about temper control. I once read in a book years ago that a violent man would never enjoy success long. One thing I've always knew is that I had a destructive type of temper. One that had me to a point to where, although I can know that what I'm doing or what I'm about to do has grave consequence, I feel or felt at that moment that a point had to be made. I had a mindset, and this is really a mindset that I'm still growing out of, that I'm still evolving out of, that I'm still challenging, going to war with even myself right now. But it's a mindset that when I've said a thing, like if I've warned a person, if I've drawn the line, if you cross that line, regardless of what I know it's going to cost me, I felt obligated to show and prove, to show that I meant what I said. You know what I'm saying? I never wanted to be an individual known to just say things and not really be about it or not really represent that which I say. I never wanted to be that kind of brother. You know what I'm saying? But to an individual, only one themselves can say that when I done a thing, I really didn't want to deal with those results. In my view, that's an emotional reaction. That's an emotional response. That's an illogical response. That means you done something that you didn't fully think out, that you didn't fully assess. And therefore, when you make decisions that you then regret the results of, then in my view, those are grounds to start really looking into your decision-making process. What we have been taught in the Nation of Islam by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and is that it is one rising out of emotions into the thinking of God, into your mind, into your intellectual self, but not just intellectual wicked self, but your intellectual God self on a righteous side, on a righteous tip. So it's not about doing things that's in alignment with law per se, but it is more so about doing things that you are really in a position to accept the results of. You know what the results may possibly be, and so when you're faced with something, the decision that you make in response to whatever it is you're faced with, it isn't an emotional decision. It's one that you fully are aware of the consequence, and you are willing to totally embrace the consequence. At any given time, you want someone else to share in the weight of consequence with you. Like you gotta call mama to come and, help you deal with that consequence. You gotta call daddy to help you deal with the consequence. You gotta call them friends to help you deal with that consequence. Then at that point, you wasn't really willing to deal with the consequence of your decisions. And I see that all the time. And I would say as a parent, and specifically and particularly as mothers, you have to start at a young age allowing your child to suffer the consequence of their decisions, because if you keep saving them from dealing with the consequence of decision, especially when it was motivated by emotions, then you're only setting them up in the future to have to deal with a consequence that you as a parent aren't going to be able to save them from. You understand what I'm saying? That's one of the things that really was a shifting point in my life, from a criminal mindset, from a reactionary mindset, from a very emotional mindset, from a street mentality mindset in these streets, shifted that mentality into one of awareness, to one of calculated thought, to one of intellectual thought, to one of logical thought, to one of rising and desiring to be in alignment with the Most High's God-like thought. You know what I'm saying? So it was a realization that I needed to always be connected to what I call the weight of consequence. That's being able to, and see, that's different than just being aware of what may possibly happen. So when I was in the street, busting that pistol and all that, I knew what could possibly happen. However, when I'm in the back of that police car, and when I'm standing in front of that judge with my whole life being dangled in front of me, there's a whole different feeling that comes with that. There's a whole different realization of the consequence that takes place when you're dealing with consequence. And that's what I call the weight of consequence. The weight of consequence is the feeling that you get when you are about to suffer consequence, or while you are suffering consequence. So whenever an individual is able to connect their mind and their feelings to what they may feel when dealing with a consequence of a decision before you make it, when one is able to do that, it has the ability and potential to curve decision, to really make you think, to really make you analyze, to really make you consider Hey man, is this something I really want to do? Is this the best course of action for me? Is this something that I have really thought real well about? You know what I'm saying? So again, man, rising out of emotions into the thinking of God, into the mind of God, rising out of emotions into our higher self, and what is our higher self? Our higher self being our intellectual self. What separates us from the rest of creation and the animal kingdom of the world? What separates us from the rest of creation? It's our ability to excel intellectually. It's our ability to create from our minds. It's our ability to have a choice in the matter. But what is a choice if you are emotionally drugged around? You know what I'm saying? If your emotions drag you all around life, that ain't no choice. Your emotions, you're a slave to your emotions. You're not in control. Your emotions are in control. So that's not your higher self. While the emotional aspect of who we are will always be a part of who we are, because it's like a fuel to action. It even can be one of the most potent aspects of our creative self. However, it's not the ruling part of who we are. It is the intellectual part of who we are that is our highest self. That is our God-like self. And it is the part of self that separates us from everything else in creation. That is our intellectual self. So really give that some consideration, young people. Really think about how you allow the way you feel control what you say and what you do. Think about that. Think about those around you. Look at those around you and look at the ends of those that come before you. Look at what happens in the lives of those that do things that you may have not done yet. Look at what happened. Look at how they end up as a result of being so emotional, as a result of not being able to control one's temper, of not being able to control how you feel all the time, or allowing the way you feel just control what you do and how you talk to people and how you deal with people. You know, that in my view, that can be a very miserable life to be in, where your emotions just drags you around life. So anyway, with that being said, beloved, I pray that something that I said, in what I just said, in all that I just said, was able to spark a thought, a desire to want to be more in control of your emotions, to want to be more aware of how your emotions function in your decision-making process, how much of that is really playing an underlying role in how you navigate through your daily activities in life. It controls what you decide to do and what you don't do. Hey man, I don't feel like doing this today. Hey, I just didn't feel like it. You know, how much is your emotions are dragging you around? I just didn't feel like it. I don't feel like it today. You know, that's why so many of us are living just average lives, because our emotions control so much of what we do and don't do. You know, we can know we shouldn't do a thing, yet our emotions compels us. Our feelings, our desires compels us, right? But anyway, with that being said, I pray that anything that I said that was true and correct came from Allah the Most High, and all praise is due to Him. Anything that I said was incorrect came from my own very soul, and I ask your forgiveness and your apology. Peace and blessing.